Welcome to the horror episode of It's Always Sunny in Hollywood. Today, you're going to be watching this through your web screen, so be very careful because we're going to be talking about Pulse, which is about the horrors of the internet, and also some other weird stuff towards the end. I'm Red Drum Arts.
I am Lugia.
I am Patrick, and I find it interesting you introduced this as the horror episode when we've delved quite a bit into horror in the past. Like, this is the definitive horror episode of the podcast.
News. A lot of news happened. So, John Waters is a legendary filmmaker in like the indie space and the queer space. He has come out of retirement, which is pretty cool because his last movie was a long time ago. It was like let's see, 2004 was the last movie he directed, and 2007 was the last movie he was involved with, being the remake of his movie Hairspray. Yeah, he's starting a new movie called Liar Mouth.
Do we have a synopsis on what it's about?
No, I do not. I just know that he's coming out of retirement. You guys should probably check out his movies. I'll probably recommend one of them one of these days. But I'm a cheerleader.
I've seen Hairspray. I really like Hairspray.
Yeah. But I'm a cheerleader is heavily inspired by his work, so I guess we got like a general idea of what he's kind of like.
Wait, hold up, wait. I'm thinking of the other Hairspray.
There's
I'm thinking
another
of the
Hairspray.
remake. I'm thinking of the remake from 2007, not the original.
It's still his story. It's still the same plot though. It's like
I know, but
so you've seen two works that are like associated with him, but not like actually. But yeah,
not from
Liar-
the man not from the man himself. No.
Yeah. So okay, so Liar Mouth is actually based on a book he wrote. So I guess he's adapting his own book. It's called the full title is Liar Mouth: A Feel Bad Romance. So I'm assuming it's a rom-com that goes horribly wrong. But yeah, I'd say probably his most famous movie is Pink Flamingos. Next to Hairspray. I guess I'll you guys are all fans of Cartoon Network, right?
It was a big part of my childhood.
Yes. Well, it's shut down.
Actually, it's not.
Okay.
Just last night they tweeted out saying, "Hey yo, we're not dead."
Okay. Here's the thing. The brand isn't dead, but production-wise, it's being folded in with Warner Brothers Animation. So while it's not like technically dead, as we know it, it is dead. How do I put it? It's like you know how like Atari, that brand name is still alive, but like it's clearly not the same Atari as before.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's gonna be kind of like that. Like the brand's still gonna exist, the network's still gonna exist, but like a bunch of people already lost their jobs, like 125 like animators or whatever, and it seems like they're just like gonna be merging like all their animation departments into one thing, and who knows what that's gonna lead to in the future, but they're definitely like culling a bunch of things, and that's not good. Yeah, I don't know, this new CEO, David Zalsav or whatever his name is, he does not seem to be a fan of anything Warner Brothers was doing before, which is I don't know why he bought the company, but whatever.
So, about a week ago, we finally got the trailer for the new Mario movie, and it caused quite a storm within the community.
Penguins and whatnot.
There's a penguin kingdom. Mario's gonna die because he threw a baby penguin off a cliff in Cool Cool Mountain. That's gonna happen in the movie. I know it. But speaking of Mario, I guess we should get the big elephant out of the room. What did you guys think of Chris Pratt's performance as Mario?
I'm gonna be honest. He only said like 2 lines, so I don't have enough to go on. From what I heard, it's all right. I mean, not my first, far from my first choice, but like from what I know so far, I can't really say too much.
The thing that threw me off is that like I could so clearly like hear Chris Pratt's voice in it. It sounded like you ever like do an impression, but like you're not doing like a very good impression, so you can still like hear your own voice. That's what it
Yeah.
kind of sounded like. Because like when I heard it, it was just like, oh, that just sounds like Chris Pratt, but like he's trying to change his voice a bit, but like it still sounded like Chris Pratt to me. And I'm like, that's fine, I guess, 'cause,
I saw somebody say that Chris Pratt's voice sounds like Linda from Bob's Burgers, and somebody even made an animation.
Oh,
Like
that's kind of
I can see what he's trying to do.
funny.
Like, have you guys ever seen the Super Show
Yeah,
with
Seen clips of
Captain Lou Albano as Mario? It feels like
yeah.
he's trying to do something like that. I think for a feature-length movie about Mario, I like. It's just that I don't know. I feel like his performance lacks a lot of oomph.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess we'll see. I'm curious on Luigi. That's like the voice I want to hear. Charlie Day's Luigi.
We only heard him panting, but
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know.
he
That's what I'm
sounds pretty
wondering
good so far. And obviously,
Here's-
Jack Black is Bowser. Like, goddamn, I did not think that he would match Bowser so well.
Okay, here's the thing. Everybody's talking about Jack Black as Bowser, Chris Pratt as Mario. I am laughing my ass off at Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. I'm sorry.
I'm amazed that works.
Like, he started speaking and I just started cracking up.
But I mean, it's actually he's
Don't
not
touch
a bad
it. Oh, I'm
casting
sorry.
choice for Toad, surprisingly. And who's the guy who did Kamek? Because he also sounds really good.
Let me check.
And aside from the voice acting, the movie looks freaking gorgeous.
It does. I mean, you can always count on Illumination to make a good-looking movie.
Nah, this looks like. I always thought like Illumination's movies look kind of like meh, but this one actually has like a texture to it, which is interesting because usually their movies have like a pretty smooth. Anyway, the person that voiced Toad is a seasoned voice actor, Kevin Michael Richardson.
You mean Kamek?
Yeah, Kamek voice is voiced by Kevin
Okay.
Michael Richardson. So you know, seasoned voice actor, not like a celebrity voice. So that's kind of cool.
For me, Illumination's strength has always been in their background and production design. Like the actual characters, they're okay, but I love the detail they put into the backgrounds. Like their Grinch movie is like a gorgeous looking movie.
No comments.
I
know
have
you- I
not
know-
seen that.
I know you don't like it, Red, but like I want that movie like as background, like for like when I'm at a Christmas party, just because it's so pretty.
Anya Taylor-Joy's Princess Peach?
Yeah.
Huh.
She wasn't
That's-
even in the trailer.
That's gonna be weird. Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong.
Or Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. He wasn't in there yet.
Sebastian Maniscalco. I hate that comedian. All right. Anyway, last bit of news is the I guess obligatory at this point obituary. So Robbie Coltrane unfortunately passed away. He is a British actor. He's probably I guess best known for playing Hagrid in the Harry Potter movies. I can't remember if you guys ever saw any of those movies.
I saw the
I've
first
seen the-
two.
Yeah, I've seen the first Harry Potter.
Okay, so you guys remember Hagrid? He played
Yeah.
a pretty big role in the
Yeah, of
early
course.
stuff. Yeah,
Of course.
Well, fortunately, he passed away. He was also in a couple of James Bond movies and Ocean's 12. He was in quite a bit of things. He was apparently in Brave. Who did he play in Brave? Lord Dingwall. Okay. But yeah, Arthur Christmas, Flash Gordon, Taylor Despero, a lot of things we've seen.
You guys also
Oh.
hear that Angela Lansbury passed away?
I did not.
No.
Angela
I did not.
Lansbury passed away
Jesus.
When?
just a few days ago. Just like a week ago, I think. Like not even, like 5 days ago.
Jesus Christ.
You probably know her as Mrs. Potts from Beauty and the Beast, or the original Miss Lovett from Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
a great actress. She was like 96, I think.
Yeah. Dang, and she was like still acting like up until recently because I know she was in that Mary Poppins reboot.
It's just weird, like two British icons in the span of a week, just gone.
My dad always said that there's like a rule of three where anytime like a celebrity dies, like usually two others die. So I guess in a few days the third one will drop. Jesus.
May they rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Anyway, any more news? You got anything to say, Patrick?
Not really, no.
All right. Have any of you guys seen any modern movies lately? Any movies in theaters?
No. Actually, I couldn't even go to theaters because I got
Right, yeah,
COVID
because you got-
recently.
All right, Halloween Ends. I've not heard good things. Also, that's on streaming, so I'm surprised that there are people going to theaters to see that. But cool.
I've not seen a single Halloween movie.
I've seen the first one, and I heard here's what I heard about the Halloween movies. Halloween 1 is good. Halloween 2 is okay. Halloween 3 is good. And Halloween 2 by Rob Zombie that came out in like 2000 in the late 2000s, that's also good. Which
So that's the real Halloween too?
no,
There
there is no real Halloween 2 because the original creator only worked on. Okay, listen, there are a lot of Halloween 2. So there's Halloween 2, then there's H2O, then there's Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, then there's Halloween 2018, and then there's Halloween Kills, which is technically a sequel to Halloween 2018, but like people consider that like its own like little trilogy. And I'm like, okay, so
There are 3 movies called Halloween in this series.
yes, because there's Halloween, then there's the Halloween reboot, and then there's the Halloween that's the Legacy sequel. Anyway, now time to talk about Pulse 2001. Just to make sure, you guys did see the 2001 version, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
All
I
right.
saw Pulse 2001, A Pulse Odyssey.
Yeah, no, because
Internet Odyssey, or I don't know.
yeah, because there is a English language remake titled Pulse, which was in 2006, and those movies are not good, apparently.
I think there was also one from 1989.
That's unrelated though. Yeah, this was we're specifically talking about the Kiyoshi Kurosawa version, who is a very talented horror director. So this is Pulse is a 2001 Japanese techno horror film directed by Kiyoshi Kurosawa, and it was screened at 2001 Cannes. So yeah, this movie was well received critically, has a pretty sizable cult following. Just a pretty well received movie. Couldn't find a ton like of background on it because for some reason a lot of foreign films it's kind of hard to find background information on it, even if they're like popular or have like cult followings like this one. But
What's it about?
Should we get into the plot?
yeah,
Please tell the audience what it's about.
basically the plot is ghosts are invading the world of the living via the internet, and we basically kind of follow two sets of characters. So one is this plant shop employee called Kudo Michi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Has so she recently moved to Tokyo, and she got these coworkers and stuff. And one day, one of them has been missing for a few days, working on a computer desk. So they go to their apartments and finds them kind of like distracted and aloof during the conversation. And then he casually makes the noose, leaves, and hangs himself. And yeah, so they inspect the discs, and they receive phone calls, help me, and then eventually her friend Junko becomes like catatonic after they see some like ghosts and stuff, and she checks on her mother, and then she meets the other main character, Ryosuke Kawashima, and his story is a bit more extensive. So he's an economics student who recently signed up as to a new internet service provider, and like his computer constantly accesses this like website by itself, and there's a bunch of like disturbing imageries and stuff. So tries getting this help from this like grad student that this like computer science grad student, and so some stuff happens there, but then eventually he runs into the main character from plot one, and things just kind of go off the rails as a bunch of people start like basically exploding into dust, and they gradually become vanishing. It's like there's just worldwide like crazy ass fucking apocalypse happens, which yeah, and then
Insert endgame joke here.
yeah, it just becomes like a giant like a fucking apocalypse, and then eventually we have like a full circle moment where return to the first scene of the film, and we see the conversation between Michi, looking at the sea and the ship captain, and then yeah, the kind of I guess a bit of a downer ending because it just kind of ends in the apocalypse. But I don't know. What did you guys think of the movie? This is the first J horror you've seen, right? No, wait, one of you has seen Perfect Blue.
I saw Perfect Blue, yeah.
Okay, so this is the second Japanese horror movie you've seen. What did you think about it, Lugia?
I think I can describe my thoughts of this movie in one word. What?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good. I'm not alone.
Yeah, no, this movie. Like definitely 2/3 of it, I was like, oh, this is a great horror movie, and then the last third, I'm like, huh? Like I feel like they just didn't know how to end the film, or at some point, because like, Jesus Christ,
Okay.
just,
Does it come full circle? Like,
I have very similar thoughts, except I'm more like half of it I really like. The second half, I was so confused. Because here's the thing, I really like the setup. I really like the first like hour of this movie. I love the aesthetic. I really like
Yeah,
where it's
they had some
going.
like they
But
had a
then
lot of great like slow burn horror in the first half,
but
and
then
then
they try to explain what is happening, and I don't get it. I don't know if I'm stupid. I just don't get it.
I think it was probably better left a mystery.
yeah, I'm gonna definitely rewatch this movie.
As will I. As will I.
Yeah,
Same
because there's the
here.
thing,
I
like
mean, I still liked it. It was still really good. It's just
I did too.
I
there's the
didn't
thing, because like
grasp it fully.
what connected with me in the first half was like the sort of themes about like the scariest things ever is kind of like the general idea of like the internet and just general like depression and isolation, because like this movie had this really great feeling of isolation. I feel like their goal with the apocalypse thing was just like in terms of like stress, like people find kind of connection or something like that. But like I don't know, I prefer the more slow burn stuff versus the more apocalypse horror that the second half was going through, which is weird because like I usually like zombie apocalypse type movies or stuff like that. But I don't know, I definitely feel like the first like yeah, I don't know, the first chunk definitely connected with me more than the last chunk.
What really drew me into this movie was the way it looked. I love the dirty aesthetic. Like here, the best way I can describe it is, you know, those photographs of places that look strangely familiar.
Yeah,
You're not
That's
talking
what
about
remind.
liminal spaces, right?
yeah.
I think yeah, that's like it's a place that you see an image of like I feel like I've been here before, but I can't grasp exactly where. That's what the aesthetic of this movie reminded me of. Like it felt familiar but very mysterious. But I mean, I felt like it's a dirty looking movie, but I felt it really worked in emphasizing the creepiness. So one minor nitpick. I get the overexposure of the lighting, but why are the subtitles also overexposed?
Yeah, it was really hard to see some of them.
It was hard to read at certain points.
Like,
Okay, I
it
don't know what's
literally
going on there.
blended in with a white backdrop. Like, you couldn't even read half of the subtitles at one point in the beginning.
Yeah,
All right,
like
I didn't
that was
know that.
weird.
I didn't know that was a thing with you guys. Okay, my bad.
Were you watching it with like manually put subtitles?
I don't remember what I was watching it with, but I didn't remember having
Because
a.
the version I was watching, it had subtitles ingrained into the film, except they were very bright.
Yeah, no, I didn't have that. I had like a separate sub file, so I could like.
But like other than that, I felt the aesthetic really worked in capturing the creepy internet factor. Because this kind of reminds me of weird shit I've seen online.
Yeah. I liked they really like understood the kind of the horror of like surveillance footage and whatnot, because like
Also,
there's just, like,
I love how when creepy shit is going down, or even when like casual stuff is happening, it's filmed like you're watching it from the perspective of the ghost.
Yeah.
Like the way it slightly shakes and the way it pans from different people.
yeah, this is
I
like
I love the way this movie is shot.
it basically like the movie doesn't really lose me up until like the last like half hour. I'm gonna say last half hour because honestly, like looking back, like all the apocalypse stuff, that's actually like towards like the end of the movie, but most of the movie isn't like that. But I have seen one of this director's work before. I saw his movie Cure, and I'm gonna say that one does not lose me at all. So I definitely say Cure is a better film. Actually, Lugo, you might be familiar with this guy's work a little bit. You know that Sweet Home.
Yeah.
You know, the movie that inspired the game that inspired Resident Evil?
Yeah, I saw that movie.
This guy directed it.
Really?
Yeah. So you've
I
seen this guy's work before. Okay, cool.
I guess now that you mention it, it does seem a little similar. A little, I stress.
But yeah, so he made that in '89, so I guess like a decade later, how would you say his filmmaking improved horror-wise?
Yeah, I think this is a better movie. Actually, going back to how this movie looks, like, I know the last half of this movie isn't really our cup of tea, but I actually enjoy how it was shot. Like, this movie feels like guerrilla filmmaking, but I think they managed to pull it off so well with these big spaces, the subway train. No one's really there. Like, I tried desperately to find like just random people or random cars out in the streets, but no. I think they did a really good job with what they were given.
I definitely say on like a filmmaking level, the second half, the last third doesn't like lose me at all. It's just on a thematic level and like it's like a plot level, I'm like, I couldn't like really.
Yeah, that's where it falls flat for me.
I couldn't like really figure out what they were trying to like say. That like I understood like the general thing about like trying to like like with the general like connection and stuff, but like I feel like them trying to like explain things is where like it kind of fell a bit flat. Like I don't think
same here. Same here. I do like the theory they have about the reason ghosts come to our world is because their realm is so filled up there's no space. I thought that was interesting, but like when they try to expand upon that, I felt like it needed more work.
It's like that Schoolhouse Rock education video, Elbow Room. You remember that?
Got to get elbow room.
It's exactly like that.
I love Schoolhouse Rock.
One thing I found very interesting about this movie is that like this was made in 2001, so this is from the perspective of like a very, very early internet. This is like, pre any of the modern things that we know. So this is like pre YouTube, pre all that. And this is basically like speculative fiction. This is like someone imagining that like, what if instead of the internet, like, because people view the internet as like, oh, new way to communicate. And it was like, what if it's just like another tool to like isolate people and be like existential? It's like, huh. In a weird sense, I think it kind of predicted like some of like the more scary parts of the internet on like a more abstract level. So it was like interesting.
Guess this movie was ahead of its time.
Here's what I'm gonna say. I've noticed a lot of like Japanese media in the late 90s, early 2000s about the internet had a very like interesting sort of perspective on it. Because like Serial Experiments Lane, even Perfect Blue, if you remember, that had a lot of like stuff about web forums and stuff on it. Like they were all. I guess a lot of Japanese filmmakers, they were fucking terrified of the potential of the internet. They were like, this thing is the future, and I'm not sure if this is going to be good. So yeah. And you know what? They're kind of right. Oh well. Because it basically like predicted that widespread internet use would lead to like loneliness, isolation. Yeah, I just realized something. Maybe like what they were trying to say with the people like evaporating and stuff is like more and more people like online. I guess there'd be like less people outside. So like I don't know. Maybe they're thinking like they're trying like on an abstract level, just say like people just getting like sucked into the internet, and it'll be harder to make connections like in real life or something.
Isn't that what dating is for?
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot like in the second half that's actually like pretty interesting. That's why I want to like rewatch it, because I feel like when I think about the second half, I feel like there are some interpretations that I can like have that means something. So like I don't know. I'm definitely gonna rewatch this movie sometime.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna rewatch it again at some point.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna rewatch it.
Yeah, I will rewatch it at some point. Maybe we'll watch it together, all three of us.
Yeah, I'd be down with that.
But like as like a first watch, I did enjoy it, but again, I certain aspects I'm like, what? Like, really, what?
If there's one thing that I will critique, it's the sound editing. Because more often than not, you're going to go to one shot, it's going to have some background noise. It goes to the next shot, completely silent. Then it goes back to the previous shot, and you hear that background noise cut in again. That happens a lot more than you think in this movie.
I will come into a defense for that and say that when it goes completely silent, that's usually when you're from the perspective of the ghost. And they're trying to say something. So I think because they're in a different plane of existence than us, it's much quieter and much more lonely. At least that's how I interpret it. But I do understand what you're saying, because there are certain scenes when there's an orchestral score, but then when they cut to another shot, it's completely gone mid-song.
I don't like that, because like they give kind of an uneasy feeling.
I mean, I guess, but like
when they go through with that cut and they don't back out into the previous shot, yes, that is perfectly fine. But like when they're going back and forth, and you hear those cuts,
I found like the constant like more dread and the more like subtle horror to be more effective versus like all the big scares. I was like they weren't bad, the big scares, but like it's just not as effective as when as just the more like moody like tone of the first half. Like I don't know if like it's like an unpopular opinion that like the first half is better than the second half, but like I don't know.
That's definitely how I feel. Part of me is curious about what the 2006 American version changed, so I'll definitely watch that one day. I heard it's really bad though, so you know.
I think I've said my piece about this movie.
Yeah. Have you guys ever watched Evangelion?
No.
No.
Everyone exploding into dust just kind of reminded me of the end of Evangelion. I was like, hell yeah. But yeah. Anyway, so some recommendations. If you like the first half of this movie, I would definitely recommend the Evangelion TV show, Perfect Blue, and Serial Experiments Lain. Serial Experiments Lain is definitely the one to check out if you like the first half of this movie, although you're probably going to need to watch that show more than once because it is very dense. But I highly recommend it. And if you like the second half, I don't know, watch War of the Worlds, End of Evangelion.
Chicken Little, because they reference War of the Worlds in Chicken Little.
Yeah, I don't know. Cloverfield. I don't know.
They legitimately say it's like War of the Worlds out there. I've seen Chicken Little way too many times.
I just remember the sky is falling. I don't remember anything else about that movie.
I remember him imagining him as a buff guy at one point.
That wasn't him imagining. That was a movie within the movie.
Oh,
Where he's voiced by Adam West.
Okay, cool. But yeah, overall, it's a recommend. Definitely recommend. Thumbs up. Whose turn to recommend for next week?
It is Lukia's turn.
Oh boy. So
What we got?
It's still October. I think it's still fitting to do a horror movie. I don't know about you guys.
I'm down.
But there's this one movie I've been very curious about ever since we did a certain episode. So, you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna go back to the world of Resident Evil with Resident Evil Apocalypse.
Ah. When you said we're heading back to something, I thought you were gonna go with Scream 2.
I really do want to watch Scream 2, but not just yet.
Resident Evil Apocalypse.
The second out of the 6 Mila Jovovich films. I can't believe there's so many of these.
Here's the thing: is that one? Who directed that one? Because I know Paul W. Anderson did direct all of them, and I know his movies are considered like the best of those of that series. Let's see, Resident Evil Apocalypse. Yeah, that was directed by Alexander Witt. That's interesting.
It was produced by Paul W.S. Anderson.
Yeah, but all I know is that many people consider this one to be one of the worst of the series.
Wait, like, Apocalypse? I've actually heard it's one of the better ones.
Here's what I've heard. I've heard like people that are like the series like filmmaking wise think it's one of the weakest, but people that like the series like video game wise like it just because there's like a lot more fan service with Jill being in there and stuff. But like as a movie, I heard it's like the worst, but like as fan service, it's a bit better. So I don't know. I feel like I'm not gonna like it, but who knows? It might be cool to just see some fan servicey stuff.
I don't know. We'll see.
I've heard good things. I've heard good things about like Afterlife. Oddly enough, like I've heard better things about the last 3 than 2 and 3.
It's the opposite for me. I've heard better things about the first 3 movies, not the last 3.
Interesting.
I mean, well, we've already seen the first movie together anyway.
Yeah, we thought it was decent. Okay.
It was alright. Like I probably wouldn't watch it again, but
I saw it again, and it was just as funny the first time.
The last 3 have more of a cult following, when the first 3, I guess, I don't know. I just know like people like the last 3 on a filmmaking level. I'm sure fans probably don't like them, but like I heard on a filmmaking level, the last 3 are pretty good. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. Who knows? Maybe eventually, maybe this will be your Doug Walker, where we chip through all the Resident Evil.
I'm not gonna do all of these. I was just curious about Apocalypse. I don't think I really care about the others.
I guess. I don't know. I have Jaws. Yeah. Red has Doug Walker.
That's Lugia. What they all say.
I'm sure you'll find.
Could have gone back to Silent Hill. You never know.
Maybe.
We started off with the sequel. We didn't see the first one.
Yeah, and we work our way backwards.
Yeah, and then we're gonna watch Jacob's Ladder one day, which is the movie that inspired the games.
Will we ever get to Welcome to Raccoon City? Because you considered choosing that.
No, I'm after seeing that for myself. Fuck no.
What about
That bad, huh?
What about the animated ones?
I saw what was it? Degeneration. That one was okay. I think the first live action one was better, but it wasn't awful.
Cool.
I know Vendetta is supposed to be awful though, so fuck that.
I just checked Letterboxd and one of my friends fucking saw Cure, so that's kind of funny. All right, cool. All right, so next week we'll be talking about Resident Evil Apocalypse. Whoop-de-doo. I don't have an ending, so sayonara. Make sure to print screen if you see any fucked up creatures on your computer, and oh no, I'm being Thanos into dust, explosions, blah blah, I'm dead now.